Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. The story begins as a hard worker named Noor does some jobs around town. He's well respected by everyone for his work ethic, and he makes a decent living. One day when being paid, Noor hears a girl calling for help, and he rushes into a cave to find that she's being attacked by a ferocious beast. A look back to 15 years ago shows a young Noor making some medicine for his sick mother. The hardworking Noor gets ready to bring in the goats, so his mother reminds him not to go beyond a certain rock. His mother is clearly very sick, so Noor plans to go make her some more tea, but his mother stops him. She apologizes for not being able to do anything for him, and she tells Noor to live the life he wants. That night, Noor makes dinner, but he's terrified when he finds that his mother passed away. Noor puts his mother to rest the next day and begins learning how to live life all on his own. Noor's life is filled with responsibility, but he has no one by his side. One night, Noor finds a book, and it triggers a memory from when his father used to read to him. This story in particular was about an adventurer that slayed a dragon with his friends. He learned magic spells from a sorcerer and broke a curse that was cast upon a forest. The adventurers group was highly respected as they always raised their swords and struck down evil for the sake of their friends. Noor is still in awe of this adventurer, and he remembers how his mother told him to live the life he wanted to live. One day, Noor decides to leave town for the first time ever, and he declares that he will become an adventurer. Noor says goodbye to his deceased parents and exits the barrier protecting his home. After days of traveling, Noor is amazed by the sight of the gigantic royal capital. He enters it for the first time ever and marvels at all the people there. He is especially amazed by one guy that looks like an adventurer, and he eventually arrives at his destination. It's the Adventurers Guild that the guards at the front gate told him about, but the clerk tells him to leave as it's not a place for kids. He tells Noor to go back to his parents, but Noor reveals that they both passed away. The clerk warms up to him a bit and explains that those wanting to register at the Royal Capital's Adventurers Guild must first take lessons at the Royal Training Schools. He suggests that if Noor really wants to become an adventurer, then he must acquire some skills first. Noor hears that this means stuff like magic and the art of the sword, so he gets excited to go to the schools. Heroes in storybooks are strong enough to defeat dragons as big as mountains with just one strike, so Noor is eager to learn how to become a hero. Noor attends the School of Heroes, but he can only watch as his classmates begin unlocking their magical powers. Noor's instructor eventually grows tired of waiting for Noor to unlock his powers and tells him that continuing to try would only be a waste of his time. The only thing Noor has learned to do is parrying to evade an attack. The instructor thinks that Noor should choose a different path, and he suggests that he try a different training school. Noor does and arrives at a school for warriors. Warriors risk their lives as shields for their friends, so Noor finds some optimism because that is pretty close to being an adventurer. Warrior training is incredibly grueling, but even after a few months of training, Noor's physical abilities only improve slightly. The instructor warns that he will lose his life if he continues to push himself, so Noor is told to try hunter training instead. Unfortunately, Noor is told that he is terrible with delicate weaponry, so he tried thief training instead. He isn't suited for that either though, so he tries magic training. Noor is only able to create the tiniest flame even after months of training, and Gandalf is shocked because it's rare to see people as incapable of using magic as Noor is. Noor's last attempt is to become a cleric, but he can barely manage to heal scratches after months. The clerk is shocked to hear that Noor couldn't learn a single useful skill after spending 3 months training at each school, and he unfortunately tells Noor that he cannot register as an adventurer. The discouraged Noor realizes that he is no prodigy and returns home. He is more sure than ever that he has no talent. However, this does not stop the spirited Noor, and he declares that he just needs to train much harder. Noor makes his own sword and remembers what his sword instructor told him. He said that if Noor practices one skill repeatedly, he might be able to master a new skill. Parrying was the only real skill he acquired from training, so he decides to train it morning, noon, and night for as long as he can. 1 year passes and Noor has increased his parrying skill so much that he can now evade 10 swords in one breath. He doesn't have any new skills yet, but his parrying has improved immensely. 3 years later, Noor is now able to evade 100 swords in one breath. However, he still doesn't have any new skills, so Noor determines that he has no chance of ever becoming an adventurer. Noor continues training though, eventually destroying his sword and seeing a light in his hand. Noor is incredibly determined and decides that he needs to train even harder. 10 years later, Nor thinks about how he is trained every day without fail, and he can now parry 1,000 wooden swords. Unfortunately, he still has not achieved any new skills. Nor decides to try and become an adventurer one last time and heads back to the capital. At the guild, the clerk sees that he only knows the weakest skills. She suggests that he go to the training schools, but Nor explains that he has already tried all of them. The girl apologizes because Nor cannot be allowed to register, but Nor expected this. Just then, the old clerk appears, but he doesn't recognize Nor. He eventually remembers him, and he's glad to hear that Nor has been training on his own. Nor explains that it hasn't gone well at all though, because he only managed to improve his parrying skill a little. The old guy explains that adventurers are ranked from E to S rank. In order to be recognized as an E rank, a person must have more than one useful skill. Nor's sad list of skills doesn't show anything useful, so Nor's dreams are crushed again. However, the old clerk says that there's more than one way to become an adventurer. There is actually something lower than E rank, and that is F rank. Nor can't believe that he might still be able to become an adventurer this way, but there are some conditions. He would be forbidden from taking any quest that involve taking lives or venturing out of the city to gather items. This means that he will only be able to accept tasks around the city. No one bothers becoming an adventurer this way, but the clerk is shocked when Nor eagerly wants to do it. Nor registers, so the clerk gives him his F rank adventurer license. The clerk doesn't think it's a big deal, but this is life-changing for Nor, so he thanks him. Nor enhances his strength a bit and gets right to work doing tasks around the town. He also increases his speed to catch a cat and uses heal to fix some scratches he got from the cat. Nor uses his tiny flame to make dinner and a rock trick to entertain some kids. Nor has finally achieved his dream of becoming an adventurer that helps people, and he fears that asking for anything more would be too much. We then return to the present, where Nor runs into the cave and finds people being attacked by a monster. Nor has only seen monsters in books, and he's shocked to see how big it is. Some guards try to protect a girl, and the captain gets attacked. Nor goes to check on him, but finds that the captain is already gone. The monster ferociously attacks the other guards, and Nor can tell that they won't survive. Seconds later, Nor's fear proves to be correct, as the monster eradicates all the guards. The beast turns its attention to the girl, but Nor uses a stone throw attack to get its attention. Nor knows what he has to do, so he runs to get some space, and he realizes how fast the beast is. Nor then turns to it and uses parry, which sends the monster flying. The beast attacks him, so Nor uses his parrying skill, but he knows that he will lose his life if he gets hit by an attack. Nor's plan is to wait for an opening so he can counterattack, but he remembers that that won't work because he doesn't have any attack skills. Nor sees that the girl still hasn't run away, and the monster seems to be attracted to her ring. The monster goes to attack her, but Nor uses his feather step ability to speed up, and he parries its attack. His sword shatters, but Nor declares that even if he can't become an adventurer hero, he wants to at least be able to protect this girl. Nor remembers how his father said that adventurers raise their swords to strike down evil for the weak, and he prepares himself for the monster's attack. Nor then uses parry with perfect timing to stop the beast's attack, and Nor's parry slices the monster's head right off. Nor realizes that he would have been a goner if the monster was any bigger, and he now knows how unrealistic it would be for him to travel the world and go on adventures at his current level. The girl thanks Nor for saving her life, and she would like to know his name. Nor simply says that he is no one important and leaves. That night, Nor thinks about how one monster who wasn't even a demon was such a problem for him. He shakes uncontrollably and once again determines that he must continue to train harder. A look back in the cave shows the aftermath of Nor's battle against the beast. A knight apologizes for not being there to protect the girl Lynn, but Lynn says it's okay because there's no point in having an escort for the trials for the right to the throne. It was Lynn's decision in the first place, and she apologizes to the knight named Enos for making her worry. Lynn's brother Rain learns about what happened, and he wonders if someone summoned the Minotaur to the city. It is a demon that resides in the abyss, the deepest layer of the dungeon, so someone had to bring it to the surface. Darken the Knight agrees with him, and explains that the source is thought to be a ring found on the corpse of a merchant at the scene. Some old mage analyzed the ring and found that it has a very high quality stone that would not be found on the market. The crest left on the stone indicates that the ring originates from the magic empire of Deritus. This isn't the first time they have been antagonized by Deritus. This time, a monster was summoned, and Princess Lin was bound by a barrier, so they realized that they must be careful. Derridus not only wanted to eliminate Lin, he is also after the kingdom's most valuable resource, the relics of the Dungeon of the Lost. Rain decides to change topics to the mysterious man that saved Lin. A report says that the guy used a single broadsword, and he defeated the Minotaur in just a matter of seconds. The knights followed him after, but the report says that he disappeared before their eyes like an illusion. It all sounds pretty unbelievable, so Rain wonders just who this guy is. Back at the guild, the old clerk is shocked to see that Nor is still alive because he heard that a demon appeared near the entrance of the dungeon. It was a demon like they have never seen before, and they couldn't find Nor afterwards. Nor thinks about how he was busy getting away from a strange group of people following him, but he just tells the clerk that he was tired and went home. The clerk explains that Nor is really lucky that he didn't bump into the demon. The clerk used to be an A rank, but even he would have lost his life if he encountered the beast. Nor assumes that the clerk is talking about a different monster than the one he fought, because his was actually just a big cow monster, not a demon. The clerk explains that a mysterious man defeated the demon with one blow, and the clueless Nor is amazed that there are outstanding people like that out in the world. The clerk pays Nor for his work, but wonders why he isn't more interested in taking a proper job. Nor has no clue what he's talking about, so the clerk once again has to explain to him that there's a way Nor can earn 30% more without the clerk taking a cut. Just then they are interrupted as Lin appears, and the clerk is shocked to see her. Lin is glad to have found Nor using her long distance detection skill, and she apologizes for doing so, but explains that she just had to meet him. Nor assumes that she has thief skills, but she explains that her focus is magic, and she also has knowledge of all 6 skill systems. Everyone is staring at them, so she would like to speak outside. The clerk is uneasy though, and wonders what kind of trouble Nor got himself into. Lin explains that talking outside would be better because there are less people there, and no one will be able to eavesdrop on them when she uses her soundproofing and concealment spell. Nor wonders if it's a good idea to go with her, but the clerk tells him that he must. Outside, Nor overhears that everyone is searching for the mystery man, but they begin to wonder if he even really exists. Nor wonders who they are searching for, but Lin tells him not to worry because they can't be detected. Lin did all this to thank him for saving her life, and she explains that he actually saved the lives of many others in the nation. Nor points out that Lin is pretty strong herself, and he thinks he actually just interfered with her fight. She can't imagine what would have happened to her if it wasn't for Nor, so Nor decides to accept her thanks. Lin wants to compensate him with her deepest gratitude, but the humble Nor says it's not necessary. Her father even wants to thank Nor personally, but Nor also says that's going too far. Lin explains that she's a person of high status, so she must give something to the person she owes her life to. She gets frustrated though when Nor rejects all her offers because he doesn't need anything. She eventually begins to cry and declares that Nor is obligated to accept her gratitude, so she refuses to move an inch until he does. This makes Nor remember the determination he had when trying to train at the schools, and he said he wouldn't leave either. Nor agrees to her demands because simply meeting her father doesn't seem like much of a hassle. Nor is surprised when she gets really cautious about it, and she explains that she doesn't want people to spot them. To keep that from happening, she uses concealment, detection occlusion, and multiple other skills to hide them. Nor is shocked to see how huge her house is, but she says it's pretty common for her kind of family. Nor finally gives her his name, and then realizes that she hasn't formally introduced herself yet. Her name is Limburg Clays, and she goes as Lin when she is adventuring. Nor can't believe how gigantic her house is, so he assumes that she's some kind of aristocrat. Lin asks Enos where her father is, and Enos explains that he's speaking with Rain. Lin explains that Nor is her special guest, and he is the one that risked his life to save hers. Enos is shocked to hear this, and decides to take them to Lin's father. Nor is completely lost at this point, as he assumes that Enos is the family maid. Although he thinks it would be strange, since she would have a tough time cleaning and doing laundry in her outfit. Enos is very serious, and Nor can tell that she seems suspicious of him. On their way, some guy aggressively wonders who Nor is, and Nor realizes that this house is pretty dangerous. This guy's name is Gilbert, and Enos tells him that Nor is their special guest. Gilbert realizes that this is the guy everyone is looking for, but he doesn't think that Nor looks very special. Enos tells Gilbert to accompany them, and secretly reveals that she is skeptical of Nor, so the more escorts they have, the better. Gilbert becomes very serious, and agrees to go with them. Nearby, the king is upset because Derridus is ignoring the peace treaty. He demanded that they hand over all the rights to the dungeon and offered to lend them his military power in return. The king knew that it was a scummy deal that would ruin his nation, so he refused, but Darius told him that he would regret his words. Rain explains that Darius is not the only threat they are facing, and the king realizes that it's finally time for something. Just then, Lin arrives with everyone. Nor doesn't notice everyone else bowing down, and he just walks right up to Lin's father. Rain sees that Lin is wearing the hermit's cloak, and he is furious because it means that she went outside. Lin explains that she had to find the person that saved her life, and she introduces Nor to her father. Lin's father is glad that he came, and Nor explains that he isn't an aristocrat, so he doesn't know proper etiquette in these situations. Lin's father actually prefers it this way because it makes him easier to talk to, and he formally thanks Nor for saving his daughter. Nor accepts his words, as that's all the gratitude he needs, and he is relieved that it's finally all over with, so he can head straight home now. Lin's father wants to reward him properly though, and offers to give him money and land. He wants to know what Nor desires, but Nor just says that he doesn't want anything like that. Lin's father then offers treasures from the dungeon. Their country possesses the world's oldest dungeon, and its treasures are incredibly rare. All the items found in the dungeon are stored in a treasure hall, and he offers to let Nor take half of the items stowed away in there. Rain is shocked as he points out that his father is being way too generous, but Nor once again declines. He doesn't need anything fancy, and their kind words are thank you enough for him. Lin's father doesn't know what to give a man that doesn't want money, land, or treasure, but Nor just wants to get out of there. Lin's father resorts to his most extreme offer and shows Nor the sword he keeps behind his throne. Rain wonders what his father is thinking, but the king explains that it's okay because the sword has become nothing more than a mere decoration at this point. Giving it to Nor would be way better than just letting it sit unused, and no one will notice if he replaces it with the replica anyway. No one can believe that the king is giving Nor this sword, and Nor is shocked by how heavy it is. Nor can tell that the sword is priceless, so he declares that he can't accept such a gift. Lin's father explains that it's just something he picked up, and he only used it because he liked it. It's really not that big of a deal, so Nor decides to accept it. Lin's father tells him to try it out, so Nor enhances his strength, and the powerful swing he takes shocks everyone. Lin's father is impressed by how he was able to swing it one-handed, and he asks Nor if he can help toughen up his daughter. Things are getting pretty dangerous, so he's worried about her, but Nor doesn't think there's anything he can teach her. On top of that, Nor thinks that parents shouldn't interfere too much with their children, and Lin should decide that for herself. Lin's father completely agrees with him, and Nor thinks about how this guy likes to laugh a lot. Nor decides that it's time for him to go, so Lin's father thanks him once again. As he leaves, Nor can't help but think that he was given something very valuable. Just then, he realizes that this sword is the same width as a drain he's always cleaning for some old lady, and he wonders if it would make his job easier. Out of nowhere, Enos appears to speak with Nor. Nor wonders if he's in trouble, but he is shocked when Enos takes a knee. She apologizes for treating him poorly, especially since he saved Lin's life. Nor accepts her apology, so she explains that it's her job to protect the Clay family, and that takes priority over everything. Nor realizes that she isn't a maid at all, so she explains that she's actually known as the Divine Shield, and she serves as vice captain of the Clay family warrior corps. At a very young age, she was appointed as shield for Lin. It's her job to protect Lin, even if it costs her her life. Nor saved Lin, so Enos declares that it's the same as him saving her life. Nor doesn't think it's that big of a deal, but Enos vows to help him however she can from now on. Nor thinks about how everyone there is pretty excessive, but decides to just accept her sentiment. Enos then gets very serious and points out that while Lin may have allowed it, Nor's speech and casual behavior towards the king was unacceptable. She cannot allow it anymore, and she demands that he refrain from doing so ever again. Nor apologizes, and he formally introduces himself. For some reason, she is shocked to hear that his name is Nor, but she says it's nothing. Just then, Gilbert stops Nor from going home and demands that he show him what he can do in battle. Nor is pretty exhausted and he would rather go home, so he is shocked when Gilbert insists that they have a mock battle. Nor has no clue what to expect because he hasn't had a training partner since he went to those schools 14 years ago. Gilbert explains that he's pretty famous for his fighting skills and he instructs Nor to choose a weapon. Nor realizes that this opportunity is a godsend for a budding adventurer, so he picks a sword and declares that he's ready for battle. Nor doesn't think he will be much of a challenge for Gilbert, so he plans to just take the battle as a chance to train with someone more skillful than him. The troops watching feel bad for Nor as he prepares to fight their captain, and they hope that he will enjoy the afterlife. Gilbert initiates the battle, but Nor easily dodges his attacks. Nor is amazed by how well Gilbert controls his pace and by how polished his movements are. He can tell that Gilbert trained a lot to get to this point, but Nor can't understand why Gilbert is so slow. Nor doesn't seem to realize what's really going on as he determines that Gilbert just doesn't think that Nor is worthy of seeing even a glimpse of what he can actually do. Nor stops the fight and explains that he knows that Gilbert is taking it easy on him. He then instructs Gilbert to not hold back so much. Gilbert didn't realize it, but figures that he must have been holding back because Nor is just a normal human. He apologizes and goes at Gilbert more seriously. Nor can tell that Gilbert is much faster now, and what's even more impressive is that Gilbert is leaving himself wide open after his attacks. Nor doesn't even consider that he isn't doing it on purpose, and just assumes that Gilbert is doing it to lure him in. Gilbert gets frustrated as he can't land an attack, but Nor thinks that Gilbert just isn't taking him seriously. Gilbert decides to show him a different move that changes mid-attack, but Nor easily avoids it as well, and he thinks about how it wasn't even close to hitting him. Nor tells Gilbert that he can speed up more, but he finally begins to wonder if Gilbert's already giving it his all. He thinks about all the solitary training he did, and begins to consider that he might actually have gotten stronger. Nor begins to think that he might actually be able to win, but Gilbert interrupts his thought as he uses an incredibly powerful attack. Gilbert is shocked though when the dust clears and Nor is no longer there. Nor just tells Gilbert that he wins the mock battle, but this just horrifies Gilbert. After Nor leaves, all the troops wonder how someone could have avoided their captain's Drawgrave attack. They rationalize it by saying that the wind force from the wide-tip practice spear Gilbert was using sent Nor flying. And if Gilbert was using a battle spear, then Nor surely would have lost his head. They know that someone with Gilbert's talent is 1 in a million, but Gilbert is pretty upset. He thinks about his past and how natural it felt the first time he held a spear. The more he trained, the more he polished his technique, and the more strength he gained. Gilbert went from village to village defeating all their strongest fighters, searching for someone that could defeat him. Gilbert had already defeated everyone in the royal capital, so he was hoping to find some great fighter in a random village. The nation was close to starting a war, so it was recommended to him that he return to the capital to search for groups that are assembling their power. Gilbert did return to the capital, where he did some demon hunting. He heard that someone formidable joined the corps, so he challenged them to fights and thoroughly destroyed them. Gilbert was just becoming more frustrated as he wondered if there was really no one that could challenge him. Gilbert was growing tired of all the weaklings surrounding him, and he was getting really bored. One day, his instructor informed Gilbert that he had received the same title as him, but Gilbert didn't care. He was still bored, so the instructor wondered what Gilbert thought of Enos. Gilbert explained that Enos was strong in a different way, but in a mock battle he assured that he would win against her. Gilbert could tell that his instructor was bored too, because he had to spend all his time training people that hardly equaled the power of one of his pinkies. The instructor was sure that someday someone would appear who would surpass him, and Gilbert just hoped that it would happen soon. Gilbert now thinks about how Nor was the man that defeated a minotaur all by himself. Gilbert wanted to know what kind of person could do that, but now he realizes that Nor makes no sense. Nor was really discourteous in front of the king, and he showed no interest in the most lavish gifts. He didn't seem like the kind of guy who could take down a monster on his own, but their battle showed him something different. Nor telling him that he could speed up made Gilbert go at him with full force. Gilbert has always known that using his most powerful technique on someone would result in them losing their life, but it was the only way that his spear would be able to land on Nor. Gilbert had no clue what happened when Nor didn't get hit by his attack, and for the first time in a head-on battle, Gilbert was thoroughly defeated. What's even worse is that Nor surrendered, and it seemed to be because he didn't want to embarrass Gilbert in front of his subordinates. What's even more humiliating is how casually Nor told him that he hoped they would meet again. After Nor left, Gilbert was shocked to see huge cracks in the ground because he didn't even notice when Nor did that. Regardless, Nor evaded his attack while he was using his full strength, so he becomes happy because things are finally getting exciting. Back with Nor, he realizes he was being foolish by thinking that he was getting stronger. He used strength enhancement and feather step, but he determines that he was only able to evade Gilbert's attack because Gilbert held back just enough so he could get away. He's glad that Gilbert showed him how weak he really is, so Noor is once again determined to get stronger. Noor goes back to doing his low-ranked tasks, and he is amazed by how well his new sword can clean a drain. It even gets the most stubborn gunk at the bottom, and Noor determines that his new sword really is amazing. He's glad that his ditch cleaning job is going well because it means that he can stop his soil hauling job for a while. Noor has this great sword now, so he just wants to be useful to people. He thinks of some different ways he could use the sword, but they all have their own problems. When it comes to abilities, the best Noor can do is light up his finger a little bit. Even though he trained at so many schools, he could only acquire skills of the lowest level. Just then, Lin appears, and Noor remembers that he's supposed to be more formal in front of royalty. She doesn't like it though, so she tells him to stop, and reveals that she has a special request for him. Lin then declares that she would like for Noor to accept her as his page. Noor has no clue what that is, so she explains that a page is someone who takes care of another person's everyday necessities as they learn techniques and absorb knowledge from that person. It's kind of like being an apprentice, but just being around Noor would be enough for her. Noor instantly refuses, but Lin is sure that she can be of use to him. She has achieved the highest marks ever in all 6 training schools, so she knows that she would make a great page. Noor still rejects and explains that there is just nothing for him to teach her. Also, she can't help him because he can do what he needs on his own. Lin says her family will pay him handsomely, but he rejects that too. She then offers to be his assistant, but he doesn't need her for that either. She proves herself with a grand display of magic, and she declares that it was the highest levels of magic skills that she can use. She then shows off her Mistblade attack and instantly slices an entire tree in half. She explains that it's a technique from the Thief class, but that isn't all. She then uses her Divine Slash, and it's incredibly powerful. She reveals that it's the Sacred class skill of a swordsman. Lin is disappointed when Noor rejects her again, and he wonders if she has him mistaken for a person who's worth learning from. She just proved how talented she is, so Noor almost feels pitiful compared to her. All she has done is prove even further that there is nothing for Noor to teach her. Lin is very determined, so Noor tries to think of how he can make her understand. He has nothing to teach her, so he decides to just show her. Lin demonstrated all her amazing abilities, so Noor shows her the extent of his abilities, his tiny flame. As she heads home afterwards, Lin thinks about stories that all the instructors at the 6 schools would tell their students. The stories of the young boy with no talent. The students just took the stories as fairy tales because the idea of such a boy really existing seemed impossible. This boy attended all the training schools at the royal capital, known for their rigorous training, and he completed the full term for each. That alone was unbelievable because even the toughest warriors would give up after 3 days in the 3-month course, let alone a child. That is what she thought as well, until she met Noor. One day the instructor of magic showed Lin something interesting. He showed her how his tiny flame could get bigger. Instructor Oaken explained that depending on the training, even the base level skill Tiny Flame can grow as large as his. It has absolutely no practical use, and for the past 200 years Oaken has just used it for fun. Lin has tried growing her tiny flame herself countless times, but she can never make the flame even a tiny bit larger. It's clearly not something that can be done easily, and probably requires a devotion to studying for a really long time. This is exactly why Lin was stunned when she saw Noor's tiny flame. It was many times bigger than what the world's greatest sorcerer Oaken had done. It was a tiny flame that far outclassed anything she has ever seen. Noor was ashamed of it and explained that the other 5 class skills he knows are just like this one. Noor doesn't realize it, but all 6 of his class skills are extraordinary. Lin is now ashamed of herself for trying to show off her skills. Noor fended off a demon attack with a basic sword, but he didn't brag about his power at all, and he just quietly went on working for other people. Noor is clearly strong in mind and body, and he never yields to anyone. Lin will soon be in position to rule the nation alongside her brother, so she needs to be strong. That is why she is determined to learn how to be strong the same way Noor is strong. That night, Lin finds Noor again and thinks about how she will follow behind Noor wherever he goes until he recognizes her as his page. This is because the strength that her royal family has been looking for resides within Noor. Back in the castle, Rain is upset about his father giving the Black Blade to someone of unknown lineage. Rain's father found the sword in the deepest corner of the Dungeon of the Lost. It was an incredibly dangerous quest that yielded the strange sword. The blade is made of an unknown material that is harder than any other. No matter what they tried, nothing could even make a scratch on the sword. Because of this, it came to be known as the Unbreakable Blade. The blade was already pretty beaten up when it was found, so it made everyone question what kind of powerful force could have made it look the way it does. The sword has unthinkable value, so Rain can't understand how the king just gave it away like he did. Rain changes his way of thinking though, and realizes that there is a sense of unrest hanging over their country. In all likelihood, Rain determines that his father must be counting on Nor for some reason. Nor is the man that defeated a Minotaur all alone and saved Lin's life, so it's possible that he might be a secret weapon for something coming in the future. Elsewhere, we find Nor with Lin. He wonders if it's okay for a princess to just be out like this, but she points out that she's an adventurer first. Lin refers to him as her instructor, but Nor wishes she wouldn't. Nor's attempts to clear things up have failed, and Lin just keeps following him everywhere. Nor plans to get some work from the guild, that way she will eventually see how simple of a person he really is. At the guild, the clerk wonders why Nor is with the princess, but Lin tells him to call her by her name because she is an adventurer right now. The clerk realizes that he shouldn't stick his nose into the business of others, and Nor explains that they're looking for a job that requires 2 people. Lin is a silver B rank, so if the 2 of them form a party, then they can take a goblin hunting job just outside the capital. Nor is shocked by this because goblins are the monsters that adventurers use to put their skills to the test. Nor can't believe that he'll be able to take a job outside the capital, but he feels bad for taking advantage of Lin's adventurer rank. This would be especially bad because he has only tried to get rid of her this entire time. Nor wonders if she would really be okay with it, so Lin excitedly says that she would be honored to form a party with him. Nor feels a bit of shame, but he gets over it because one of his dreams is about to come true. Nor eagerly goes to start the job, but he must quickly return because the clerk hasn't told him anything about it yet. The clerk warns that while it's a low-ranked job, that doesn't mean it won't be dangerous. It will take place in the Forest of the Beasts, and they will have to bring back the ear of a goblin as proof of a successful hunt. They won't get compensated without the ear, so it's very important. It has been reported that the goblins' numbers have been dwindling, so there's a chance that they won't find any goblins. If that happens, the clerk tells them to just pick some herbs and bring them back. The 2 leave the capital and excitedly tell each other to do their best. As they walk through the forest, Nor asks Lin to tell him about goblins. She explains that they hunt small animals as prey and eat the fruits of trees. However, they have been aggressively attacking humans for sustenance recently. If they continue to grow in number, then it will lead to a food shortage for them, and they will likely begin invading human villages. That is why adventurers have been trying to control their numbers. On the other hand, the forest relies on the goblins, so it's also not good to hunt them into extinction. Lin clearly has a lot of knowledge, so this just makes Nor realize even more that he has nothing to teach her. Lin keeps checking to see if there are any goblins near them, but they haven't found anything. Normally they would have encountered at least one, so Lin determines that the rumors about their numbers dwindling are true. Just then, Lin senses a monster nearby. They go to check, but the forest just keeps getting darker and darker. The tall trees block the sunlight, but the goblins prefer living in places like this. Lin surprisingly stops and reveals that the monster's presence just disappeared. Nora assumes that the monster just passed away from old age, but they are shocked when they find that the goblin was mutilated. Lin quickly uses reveal magic, and it exposes a giant monster that was eating the other goblin. Nora is shocked to hear that the giant is a goblin as well, because goblins are supposed to be the weakest monster. The giant clearly looks like a goblin though, and it even treats some nearby trees like weapons. Nora is so clueless that he assumes that this is what goblins really look like in person, versus what he has heard about them. Not only that, he figures that other adventurers are able to handle them like nothing. Lin is clearly terrified, and Nor doesn't blame her because she doesn't have any combat experience. Nora assures her that they will be fine, and declares that they're only fighting against a goblin. Nora is actually terrified, but he knows that he can't think about that if he wants to win. Lin knows that this goblin is actually the Goblin Emperor, and it is considered an extreme threat. The Goblin Emperor is a monster created from genetic manipulation by man, and the research behind it is now banned. What makes it really terrifying is that it eats its own kind, then it takes that power and grows stronger. Lin thinks about how Nor said they're only fighting a goblin, and she is amazed by his confidence. She is just as clueless as Nor, as she now thinks that he came to this area on purpose. Lin thinks that the reason Nor was so excited about this job was because he wanted to eliminate the threat that no one knew about. Lin gained some confidence because of this, so the two of them prepare to fight. The giant beast tries to strike first, but Nor masterfully uses his parry ability to repel him. The beast is incredibly powerful though, so it manages to push Nor back. Nor can tell that it's trying to corner him, but he refuses to let it. He knocks the goblin off balance and tells Lin to follow up with some magic. She does, but the goblin proves to be too fast to hit. Just then, Nor must rescue Lin as the goblin starts launching trees at them, and Nor keeps using parry to deflect them. Lin knows that she has to do something before things get worse, but she is shocked when she notices that the goblin's wound is gone. Not even Goblin Emperor should be able to recover this quickly, so Lin determines that it must have something to do with the mana crystal on the goblin's forehead. She tells Nor that if he can knock it off the monster, then they might have a chance to win. Their plan is interrupted though when the beast launches a cluster of trees at Nor. Nor is stunned to see how many there are, and he realizes that this goblin was watching him to see how many he can parry. Nor fears that he won't be able to parry them all, but luckily Lin deflects them away with magic. The goblin heals again, so Lin is more sure than ever that it's replenishing its power with the mana stone. The two quickly realize that at this rate, they're just going to run out of stamina and magic while they try to keep up. Just then, Nor comes up with an idea and tells Lin to use her Wind Blast attack on his back. Lin refuses to attack Nor though, because her Wind Blast is powerful enough to demolish castle walls. He won't be able to survive no matter how strong he is, but Nor explains that she won't be attacking him directly. Nor plans to have her hit the sword while it's on his back, because the only chance they have at beating the goblin is to go faster than him. Time is running out as the monster prepares to attack again, so Lin agrees to do it. Her Wind Blast is insanely powerful as it launches Nor across the battlefield, and he nearly passes out. Nor composes himself though, and enhances his body. This combination allows Nor to break through the goblin's defenses and knock the crystal out of its forehead. The goblin loses its mind and then reveals that she recovered the stone. Nor tells her to finish the goblin off, but also asks her to make sure that it doesn't feel much pain. Lin seemingly didn't listen to that last part though, as she sets the goblin on fire and it screams in agony. Once the torture is over, Nor apologizes to the beast and decides that he won't be slaying any more goblins for a while. He realizes that he shouldn't be putting himself in dangerous situations, so he will move on to the next challenge only after he has trained more and gotten stronger. A while later, Rain is informed of the Goblin Emperor that was spotted. The Emperors are several times stronger than the Goblin Kings, so Rain can't even imagine how strong it was since it also had a powerful mana crystal on its forehead. Rain fears that the stone came from the Demon Heart, and he wonders who could have been behind it. He's then shocked to hear that Nor and Lin were able to defeat it while only suffering minor injuries. Several strange incidents like this one have started occurring, so the guild has opened an investigation to find out what's going on. Back at the guild, the clerk is shocked that the scrawny little kid from years ago has turned into a goblin-slaying beast. Nor is very humble about it, as he gives a lot of credit to Lin, but he also decides that he should celebrate his first day hunting. It might not seem like much to others, but his first day is a big deal to him. Hearing about the mana stone on the goblin makes the clerk wonder if what they thought was really a goblin. Nor is pretty sure that it was, and Lin just goes along with whatever her instructor says. The clerk then asks for the goblin's ear so he can pay Nor for the job. Nor looks at Lin with a grim face as they now have to explain that they don't have the ear because they burnt the giant goblin to the ground. At the castle, Rain realizes from some documents that an enemy has encroached deep into his country. He urgently orders for troops to go to certain areas, and he even summons all 6 of the country's heroes. Rain is upset at himself for not figuring this out sooner, and he curses the magical empire for going this far. They want the dungeon's resources, and they clearly don't care about taking innocent lives. Rain is furious because the magical empire is coming to demolish the country. Back with our hero, we learn that the guildmaster did Nor a favor. Nor didn't bring the goblin ear back, but the guildmaster still compensated Nor in celebration of his first hunt. Nor and Lin finish up their celebration feast, and she decides to head home for the day. Lin wonders if that's okay with their teacher, so Nor says it's fine and thanks her for her help. Just then, Rain appears and apologizes for having an urgent request. He asks Nor to take Lin to the mountains the next morning and even offers to give them transportation. Rain can't give any details, but Nor can tell that this is serious, so he agrees to help. The next morning, Nor thinks about how the real reason he agreed to go on this journey was so that he could finally see what it's like to be on a carriage. Nor has never traveled away from the capital, so the traveling is more precious to him than the money he's being paid to take Lin. He's also really excited because soon he will even be able to travel to different countries. Nor can tell that Lin is uneasy, so he tells her to enjoy the scenery with him. He then thinks about how his dream is to become a normal adventurer and journey on his own. Lin apologizes for Nor having to take her, but he just says that he owes her for helping him with the goblin anyway. A look back shows that Rain instructed them to head towards the mountains and wait for a while. If nothing strange happens, then they will proceed to a place called Mithra. Lin hopes that nothing will happen, so Enos tells her not to worry because she is there. However, we learn that Enos has secret orders from Rain. He warned that the royal capital would fall into crisis very soon. If she receives a report that the capital has been destroyed, then she will have to take Nor and Lin to Mithra. Enos refused to leave the capital during an emergency, but Rain reminded her that her main duty is to protect Lin. Enos apologizes for Nor getting caught up in the situation, but he still just thinks of it as a simple trip. Nor can tell that she is worried about something, so she explains that protecting him is another one of her responsibilities. She tells him not to worry about anything, but the laid-back Nor isn't worried at all. Nor intends to protect himself if anything happens, and he is confident that he can run away if needed. Nor is then shocked to hear that Enos has a shield, even though it doesn't look like it. Enos reveals that it's actually a shield of light, and she instructs Nor to hide behind it if anything happens. This shield is incredibly strong since neither weapons nor magic can get through it. Nor then thinks about the guy he fought at the castle, but he can't remember his name and just calls him Armadillo. According to what Lin told him, Armadillo is so talented that he was able to bring down a dragon on his own. Enos is clearly just as strong as that guy, so Nor assumes that they're on a whole nother level compared to him. Nor compliments her, so she explains a bit about her past. She was taken into an orphanage when she was young, and this was when she first realized that there was a mysterious power within her. Enos didn't know what was going on, and some clueless little girl hurt herself by touching Enos's mysterious power. Enos showed her powers to the heroes, and it became clear that it was a gift from the heavens. It was a historically rare one, as it could become a blade to cut anyone down, or a shield that could protect against anything. Depending on how she used it, it could easily allow her to annihilate even an entire country. Enos was taken in by one of the heroes named Dan, and she learned from all 6 heroes how to use her power. Enos could never get over the fear of hurting someone again with her power, so she distanced herself from everyone. That wouldn't last forever though, and the reason why had something to do with why she was shocked to hear Nor's name. One day Dan was training her, and he was informed that another group of monsters were approaching. The situation was getting pretty bad, and underneath his breath Dan wished that Nor was still around. Enos heard him, but Dan just told her to forget what he said. This Nor person was clearly someone that her adopted father recognized, and she was envious of this mysterious person. Her envy has only grown since meeting Nor. Enos refuses to let her emotions cloud her judgment, so she once again vows to protect Lin with her life. Just then, everyone notices a strange path in the field, and Lin uses her uncover spell to reveal a monster. Back at the royal capital, the king acknowledges that the attack has begun, and he is informed that they don't have enough soldiers to fight all the monsters that have appeared. Rain takes charge and comes up with a plan to combat the monsters and evacuate the citizens. The king curses Darius for making good on his threat, and he fears that this is just the beginning. Rain then informs the king that the 6 heroes have been dispatched all across the capital. Nearby, we watch as the group is being attacked by giant goblins, and Dan arrives to help them. We then get a glimpse of the other heroes arriving on the battlefield. The situation's getting more dangerous by the minute, but Rain finds comfort in knowing that at least Lin is safe. Back with Lin though, we see that there was a kid with the dragon, and he was determined to eliminate someone. When Lin shattered the dragon's barrier, the dragon shoved the kid away. Enos recognizes the black dragon, so she wonders why a ferocious beast would be out there. Enos tries to stop Nor as he springs into action, but it's too late as he confronts the dragon. Nor fights off the beast, but Enos points out that the kid Nor is protecting was already with the demon before they arrived. A look back shows Rain telling Lin about demon folk. They are demi-humans who have the special ability of establishing a mental bond with monsters at will. According to Rain, they are closer to monsters than humans. These demi-humans manipulated powerful monsters, and they nearly destroyed the city of Mithra, so they were hunted by humans. They were thought to be extinct, but it seems like their descendants are somehow still around. Rain warned Lynn to run if she ever saw one, because they surely have a serious hate for humans. Enos is sure that this kid is manipulating the dragon, and was probably planning to bring the vicious beast to the royal capital. She explains that the kid seemed to lose control of the dragon when the barrier broke, and Enos is shocked that Nor rushed in to help without thinking twice. Enos is angry though, as she thinks he's being foolish, and she wonders who he thinks he is. Lynn thinks they should help him, but Enos surprisingly refuses to help Nor. Nor continues to fight, but he calls this thing a frog, and thinks about how it's not nearly as strong as that goblin he fought. Nor's plan is to hold on until the girls arrive for backup, but the beast prepares an energy blast. The kid will get hurt if he dodges, so he attacks the monster instead. Something terrible happens though as black liquid starts coming out of Nor's body, and Enos explains that this is the true horror of the dragon. Nor can instantly tell that he's been afflicted by poison, and now he can't move his body. This dragon eliminates everything it comes into contact with, which is why it's called the Black Death Dragon. Lynn tries to help Nor when the dragon goes to attack again, but Enos stops her because an even bigger poisonous mist is coming. Lynn demands that she let her go, but Enos declares that her duty is to protect her at all costs. If she can hold back the dragon's attack somehow, then at the very least, Lynn will be able to escape. Enos then declares that Lynn's survival is the only chance they will have to revive the kingdom. Lynn still tries to argue with her, so Enos explains that even just one breath of the poisonous gas is fatal, and even the hero of healing wouldn't be able to save Nor. The dragon unleashes its poison, so Enos protects Lynn with her shield and promises to keep her alive. Lynn's purification isn't working, and birds begin to fall from the sky. Enos apologizes to Nor because she originally wanted to protect anyone in danger, but her duty to the kingdom must come first. Just then, the girls are startled when a dragon claw falls in front of them. They can't understand what's going on, and they are shocked when they see that Nor is still fighting the beast. Nor is in really bad shape, and Enos wonders if this determination is why Dan wished that Nor was still around. Enos realizes now that Nor isn't foolish at all. He is actually the exact kind of person she always looked up to and chased after, doing whatever it takes to protect someone and being a true shield. Unfortunately, it seems like Nor is at his limit, and this is proven to be true when the next attack from the dragon sends Nor crashing to the ground. Surprisingly, Nor is relieved for some reason, and he says that he will be able to make this work out after all. A look back shows a group of imprisoned children. They were considered to be cursed because they were born with power to control magical beasts. They were called worthless brats, and they were barely fed. One child in particular was taught that the purpose of their power was to control livestock. However, one of these demi-humans used their power to control monsters during war, and eliminated a lot of people. Humans began to hate the demon folk, and they were hunted down. The one kid in prison was tormented relentlessly, and any attempts to speak were met with more attacks. This child also had the power to read people's minds, but this just made things much more worse for him when the humans found out. No matter how poorly he was treated, this kid never once thought about retaliating. Even though he hated everything that was being done to him, this kid never wanted to think about hurting anyone. However, one day, the guy in charge of the prison told the kid to take some monsters. The guy told him that demon folk can be useful to people, and if the kid listened to him, then he would never be beaten again. The guy would let him eat whatever he wanted, and that would also go for all the other children as well. However, if he didn't listen, then things would get much worse for them. The kid couldn't read the guy's mind because he was wearing a device on his head, but he decided to trust him and end everyone's torment. A while later, this kid headed to the capital with the intent to eliminate everyone on the guy's orders. However, this was when Lynn destroyed the barrier. The kid apologized to everyone because he had failed, and he was prepared for his life to end. He ended up not helping anyone at all, but he was at least relieved to have never hurt anyone either. He was happy to leave the world in this way, and he just hoped that if he were reborn, he wouldn't get beaten so badly in his next life. He hoped that he would be useful to someone and said goodbye to this world. However, this was the moment when Nor rescued him. The kid couldn't understand why someone was fighting for him, and he became concerned for Nor when he was struck by the dragon's poison. The kid was afflicted by poison as well, but Nor did something, and the kid's bleeding shockingly stopped. Surprisingly, whatever Noor did also kept the kid from getting poisoned again. The battle intensified just like we saw before, and Noor was relieved after being defeated for some reason. Another look back shows something else Noor did after returning from the training schools in the royal capital. Noor made a soup from some herbs he gathered, but something turned out to be poisonous. Noor was in big trouble as he could only use his low heal ability and he could barely move. After a long night of pain, Noor eventually dragged himself to drink some water. A book on herbs revealed which was the poisonous one, so Noor tried to go back to training his parry ability. Unfortunately, Noor's body was still suffering from the effects of the poison, so he had to use his low heal ability again. After another day, Noor was shocked to see that he was finally feeling better. Noor eventually found the poisonous plant again, but he knew better this time. Unfortunately, Noor had terrible luck and a highly poisonous snake bit him. Shockingly though, the effects wore off very quickly. Noor wanted to test something out, so he ate the snake and was shocked to see that the poison barely affected him. The next day, Noor poisoned himself with another snake, but the poison spread slowly, and he realized that he had built a tolerance to the poison. Noor figured that this could lead him to acquiring a new skill, and he developed a taste for poisonous things. As he began eating more poisonous things, he would collapse on occasion, but overall he was able to stomach most poisons. He never acquired any skills from this, but he could eat poisonous things at the cost of vomiting a small amount of blood. This was only a small price to pay though, because Noor loved the taste of poisonous things. That is why, back in the present, Noor has determined that this giant poisonous frog will be delicious. It turns out that Noor just couldn't counteract the poison in time, which is why he spewed out a little bit of blood. However, Noor knows from years of experience that much blood is no big deal. Noor is glad to see that his low heal ability protected the kid, and he goes right back to fighting the frog. The kid is stunned to see that Noor can take on such a horrible monster all by himself, and Noor surprisingly starts pushing the beast back. Everyone is terrified though when the beast takes in a bunch of air for its next attack. Noor sees what's coming as it's obvious that the dragon is about to use its all or nothing final strike. Noor is pretty fearless though, and he uses parry to make the dragon send this attack straight into the sky. Everyone is stunned by what they just witnessed, and the beast is defeated. There's something suspicious about this beast being so close to the city, but all Noor can think about is how this poisonous of a frog is probably really tasty. Noor goes to check on the kid, who reveals that he was the one that brought the monster. Noor is shocked when the kid says he was going to bring the frog to the city, but Noor thinks that this means the frog was meant to be delivered as food. Bringing the animal alive would be the best way to make fresh food in the city, and Noor thinks that the kid was concealing himself so no one would rob him of the valuable frog. Noor has the situation all wrong, as he begins to think that the poor kid probably raised the frog himself so that he could sell it. His misunderstanding gets worse, as he now thinks that he ruined the delivery of the kid's precious stock to the city. Noor apologizes profusely and promises to pay the kid back for the frog. The kid says there's no need to pay him back, and reveals that he was able to bring the monster all the way out here by controlling it. Noor is amazed that such a tiny kid could control a giant monster, and he wonders if there are more people with such a skill. The kid has never heard it called a skill before, and Noor is shocked to learn that this kid had this power since he was born. Noor determines that it's an ability gifted by the heavens, and the kid stumbles on his words as he nervously reveals that he is demon folk. All demon folk have this ability, so Noor assumes that it's actually nothing too special. Noor always wondered what he would do if he had this ability, and all he could ever think of was ways to help people. The kid is surprised that Noor isn't afraid of him being demon folk, and he wonders why Noor doesn't hate him. He reveals that everyone he has ever met has hated him for having this power, but Noor can't understand why. Noor tells him to ignore what everyone has told him, because this ability of his is incredibly useful. The kid is stunned to hear that he can be useful, and Noor says that he wishes he had this ability. The kid breaks down from disbelief, and he wonders if someone like him could really be needed. Noor thinks about how unlike himself, this kid was born with an ability, so he wonders how the kid could feel so useless. The kid begins to cry, so Noor assures him that there are plenty of people that can use his help. The girls finally arrive, and Lin frantically offers to treat Noor's wounds. The girls are stunned though when Noor explains that he has already healed and he's pretty strong against poison. Lin can't believe it because the poison from the monster was extremely dangerous, and it was a miasma that even ruined the soil in its path. Taking a direct hit from it and still being alive is extremely hard to believe. Lin realizes that there can only be one explanation. One of the heroes once told her about something called the sacred spirit. By honing one's body like a saint, a person can gain the ability to use a technique that purifies everything it touches and heals all wounds. However, the hero was only able to achieve this perfect technique after years of unconventional training. It took the hero 40 years to reach this power, but Nora is still so young. Nora wants Lin to tend to the kid's wounds, and she can instantly tell from his appearance that he is demon folk. Nora explains that he wants to take the kid with them, but the girls are fearful. Demon folk are a dangerous race, and many countries recommend eliminating them on sight. The girls warn Nora about the danger, but Nora wants to pay the kid back for destroying his frog. Lin points out that it was actually a Black Death dragon, and she is shocked to hear that the kid was planning to bring it to the city. The girls want to know who's making the kid do this, but he doesn't know anything about the guy. Enos then realizes that this kid was a slave. Slaves are outlawed in the Clay's kingdom, but that isn't the case in other countries. Lin asks the kid where he's from, but he was blindfolded on his way here, and he doesn't know much about the city he was in. Nora then tells the girls that he would like to give the kid a ride to the nearest city. Lin thinks about how her father always warned her to not be misled by rumors and to trust her own eyes. Lin realizes that she was looking at this kid as just being part of a dangerous race, but in reality, he's really just a malnourished kid with nowhere to go. Lin is ashamed of herself, and the kid introduces himself as Rollo. Lin wants to take the kid too now, but Enos is hesitant. Demon folk are not allowed to enter Mithra, so it will be difficult to take him with them. However, it will also be difficult for Rollo to survive if they just leave him alone. It's a pretty difficult decision because Mithra might consider them enemies when they arrive and they might be attacked. Just then, their difficult decision is interrupted when a mysterious man appears, and he is obviously very dangerous. This guy reveals that he was hired by the person that sent Rollo to make his delivery. Nora apologizes for ruining their plan, but the guy doesn't care, and he just reveals that he's after the kid. Apparently Rollo is worth a lot of money, so the guy is there to take him back. This guy moves at blazing speed, and Nora just barely manages to repel his attack. The stranger explains that his client wants to end the kid's life, but it would be much easier for him if he eliminated Rollo right now, so he would only have to bring back his carcass. As they fight, Nora says that he doesn't understand what this guy's problem is, but the guy says that Nora doesn't need to understand anything. Lin is shocked to see how fast they are moving because she can't even follow along, and Enos tells her to stay behind her. The stranger continues with his creative attacking style, but Nora manages to parry him every step of the way. The guy doesn't lose his cool at all though, and simply decides to chop Nora's head off. Nora parries the guy's attack at the very last moment, but he is shocked that the mystery guy was able to generate such power with just a tiny blade. The stranger is surprised as well when his blade falls apart, but he has another one that he uses to attack Nora. Nora realizes that he's in trouble because all he can do is avoid the attack on intuition alone. He won't be able to last much longer because fighting while trying to protect Rollo is taking its toll. Lin is horrified by the power surging from their battle, and she can't even move. Enos uses her shield to protect her, and she reveals that she has just realized something. This man's appearance, along with his immense strength, has made it clear that he is the former S-rank adventurer called Zaru. A look back shows Enos after she found documents from an unsolved case. This case was closed because the target was officially eliminated on record, but it wasn't true. The target was Zaru, who became an S-rank adventurer at a young age, which made him a target for other S-ranks. Enos was shocked to hear this because S-rank targets are not usually humans. Gilbert was excited to take out Zaru, but the heroes told him to not even try. The reason they pretended that Zaru was eliminated was because he's actually too strong for anyone to take out. They decided to close the case because they didn't want to send any more people just to get eliminated. Gilbert was still curious, so they explained that as a kid, Zaru mastered the ancient art of dwarven alchemy. At the young age of 13, he earned the name Dragon Slayer. Gilbert was shocked because that meant that the guy was even more of a prodigy than him. Zaru became very famous, and he was admired by all adventurers. However, he did not always use his talents for good things. Zaru eliminated several civilians for an unknown reason, but the guild didn't want to take away his adventurer's license because he made many contributions to them. Zaru even took down a disaster level threat monster on his own. The decision on how to deal with him was split, so they decided to postpone it. Zaru takes on any job as long as it pays well, and things like morals are meaningless to him. This was made clear when he wiped out an entire country and eliminated an entire royal family. It was as if Zaru had no sense of good or evil. Back to the present, Ines explains all this to Lin. Zaru has been challenged by many adventurers, but it only resulted in a mountain of corpses, and the bounty on Zaru's head is now incredibly high. In order to prevent anyone from going after him, the guild announced that he was no longer alive. Zaru and Nor take a break from their fight because Zaru is disappointed to see that his entire collection of daggers has been destroyed. They are made of materials that aren't supposed to break so easily, so Nor wonders if Zaru is looking for reimbursement. Zaru thinks Nor is pretty weird, but not as weird as his sword. Zaru decides to play it safe as he tosses his sword into the sky, and Ines is shocked to see that it breaks apart into several swords. This attack is pretty famous as it can take several hundred lives in the blink of an eye. It's a weapon that Zaru transmuted himself, and it's called the Silver Cross. Zaru uses it to attack, and Nor is barely able to protect Rollo in time. Nor knows that he won't be able to win, and Ines realizes just how terrible the situation is. Ines determines that Nor and Rollo will both perish if she doesn't help, but she reminds herself that her mission is to make sure that Lin survives. Ines realizes something though, and asks Lin for permission to leave her and assist in the battle. Nor does his best to fight back all the swords, but one of the swarms is too fast for him. Luckily for Nor, Ines arrives just in the nick of time. Ines reiterates that her job is to protect Lin, but she has realized that this means she must keep Nor alive. Ines uses her powerful shields to push Zaru back, but it's clear that none of them will be able to hit him. This is because Zaru and his swords are just moving way too fast. Ines realizes this as well, so she decides that she will focus on defense while Nor finishes off Zaru. Nor isn't sure if he can do it though, because Zaru's swarm of swords moves around like a living creature. Just then, Nor comes up with an idea and asks Ines to move one of her shields on his signal. Nor then physically enhances himself as he has Ines move a shield, and Nor launches the fangs of the dragon he defeated right at Zaru. The fangs are incredibly strong, and Ines is shocked to see that Nor was able to shatter Zaru's swords with them. Nor continues using his stone throw attack, and he manages to take out most of the swords. Zaru comes out of nowhere to attack Ines, but Nor manages to stop him. Zaru can't understand how Nor was able to stop his attack, but what's even more strange is that his dagger made of adamite was broken by Nor. Zaru tries to attack again, but he just gets the same result. He thinks Nor is a pretty weird guy, so he asks Nor how he's been able to see his attacks and counter them. Nor says that it's just something he can do, but Zaru can tell that there is more to it. Zaru decides to just call it a day and leave because recovering his weapons after they have been shattered is a real pain. That isn't all though, as he explains that there will be a huge celebration happening at the royal capital. This doesn't sound good at all to Ines, but unfortunately Zaru doesn't have any more details about this extravagant event. Zaru says that Nor is the strangest guy he has ever met, and he tells Rollo to consider himself really lucky. Zaru goes for one last sneak attack, but Nor stops him once again, and Zaru points out that Nor is why he wasn't able to get his reward for retrieving Rollo. Zaru leaves, and everyone wonders what will happen at the capital. Nor thinks they should go back, especially since they won't be able to take Rollo to Mithra. Just then, Rollo begins to shake uncontrollably after hearing that they're all from the royal capital. He tells everyone that they can't go back because of something terrifying. Rollo heard that the biggest monster is going to the royal capital, and it's strong enough to wipe out the entire city. Lin realizes that this situation is more urgent than she thought, so she decides that they will return to the capital. Nor agrees with her decision, but Ines refuses. She is shocked though when Lin reveals that she knows exactly what Rain ordered her to do. Lin says that they will suffer the same fate as the demon folk if they abandon the capital, so they must return and warn everyone about the monster. Ines gives in and agrees to go back, but she tells Lin not to leave her side for even a moment. Nor thinks it would be best for Rollo if they split up, but Rollo refuses. He is sure that a demon folk is the one bringing the monster, and even if he doesn't think he will be able to do anything, he still wants to help. Lin sees how serious Nor has gotten, and she assumes that it's because of his big heart. She is completely wrong though, as Nor is just thinking about how he wishes he could have taken a bite out of the poisonous frog. On their way back, Lin thinks about how worried she is, but she finds comfort in knowing that Nor is with her. Nor fought the dragon and the legendary Zato, so they should be fine. Lin determines that it's her responsibility to take Nor to the royal capital so he can save everyone, and she calls him the man who practically jumped straight out of an epic hero's tale. Back at the royal capital, Rain is told that many citizens have been evacuated thanks to the efforts of the 6 heroes. They fended off the enemy's ambush, but Rain is sure that another wave will be coming. This is the perfect time for them to do it because the capital forces are scattered. Rain is sure that the enemy's just waiting for them to exhaust themselves and preparing the next wave. Rain wonders which direction they will be coming from, and he realizes that they could come from the sky as well. He is told that there have been no sightings of flying beasts, but Rain notices something strange in the sky. He's horrified when he realizes that it's hiding above the clouds, and he uses his uncover ability to break its barrier. Rain stares in shock as he can't believe what he sees. A guard wonders if it's a black dragon, but Rain points out that it's far too big. This is actually their worst nightmare because it's a dragon of calamity. A look into the past shows Nor being taught by his father about how dangerous dragons are. A certain adventurer would slay these beasts, and the materials that came from them were turned into very high quality weapons and medicines. This in turn brought wealth to the land, and it made the adventurer a hero that the people would call the Dragon Slayer. Nor wanted to be a dragon slayer, but his father explained how difficult it is to slay a dragon. Some dragons are incredibly strong, and they have been alive for thousands of years. They can make the ground crumble with just one step, and they can even destroy entire mountains just by swinging their tail. In fact, their nation was nearly destroyed by dragons that ran wild. Nor's father finished telling him these stories, but Nor never stopped wanting to become a dragon slayer. Back to the present, Nor and his group traveled back to the capital, but Lin is horrified to see the Dragon of Calamity. The gigantic dragon terrifies everyone in the capital, and Rain wonders if the Magic Empire understands the horror they have unleashed on the world. The Calamity Dragon has been asleep for the past 150 years, but it should still be dormant. Rain becomes furious because this means that the Empire awakened the dragon. The dragon causes massive destruction with a single flap of its wings, so Rain orders for everyone to be evacuated. It's a terrible emergency, so he instructs his troops to pry anyone away from their belongings if they're hesitant to leave. One of the heroes watches nearby, and she senses that magic is being used to obstruct all the evacuation routes. This is terrible because it makes it impossible for the 6 heroes to unite. We then see that the heroes have their hands full throughout the area. Gilbert tells the king to evacuate, but the king just instructs him to get the citizens as far away from the capital as possible. As for himself, the king has a job he still needs to do. Nearby, Ines determines that there's no hope left for the capital because the dragon will surely decimate it. Lin fears that her father will use himself as a shield so the citizens can escape, but she knows that even he is no match for the legendary beast. Lin is terrified of what will happen, so she hopes that her father will just leave the capital instead of fighting. Just then, everyone is shocked to see how casual Nor still is. He says that he has never seen a dragon before, but Lin points out that the monster he defeated earlier was also a dragon. Lin explains that her father and brother are still in the capital, but it's too late to help them. Nor casually says that he thinks he can make it in time if he runs, but this just shocks Lin. Nor says that they can use her wind blast again like they did against the goblin, but Lin fears that the power needed to get him to the capital in time will end up hurting him really bad. Nor reminds her that his sword will take the brunt of the damage. Nor says that he owes a lot to the people of the city and to the king, so he wants to help. All he has to do is help the king escape, and he is sure that he can do that. Lin snaps out of her pessimism, and she realizes that Nor is not someone that should be doubted. Her wind blast is not meant to be used on humans, but Nor is not a normal guy. Another look back shows the king refusing to hand over the Dungeon of the Lost to the Magic Empire. He was told that he was just letting it go to waste because it has power to create an army that could control the world. The king explained that he's just choosing not to use a power that is beyond their control. Back to the present, the dragon continues its rampage, and the king determines that the Empire will stop at nothing to get the dungeon. He realizes that he underestimated the Empire because he never thought they would throw the full force of their might at them. The king now takes full responsibility for the breakdown in negotiations. The capital is facing destruction, but all the king can think about is Lin's safety. This makes the king realize that the Empire was right. He is not fit to be king, and he has always been more suited to being on the battlefield. The king apologizes to his people for failing them, and he vows to at least take one of the dragon's eyes with him. Back with our hero, Ines creates a cylinder with her shield to amplify Lin's wind blast, and Nor stands in front of it. To amplify it more, Ines uses magic reflect on her shield several times. This is clearly becoming more intense, and Nor can tell that this is kind of different from the last time. Lin confirms this as she explains that the impact from this wind blast is going to be far stronger than it was before. Lin puts everything she has into it, and she apologizes to Nor in advance. She remembers not to doubt him though, and unleashes the attack. Rollo is stunned by the amount of power being admitted, and the next thing he sees is that Nor has completely disappeared in the blink of an eye. Back in the capital, the king comes face to face with the dragon. Everyone watching is horrified as the dragon prepares to use its Elder Dragon Breath attack because it's the one that burned the entire continent to a crisp several hundred years ago. The king realizes that the dragon's giving him no chance to survive, but he's determined to do something kingly at least once before he dies. The king pulls out a dagger and tells the dragon that he's going to show it how tenacious humans are. One of the heroes watching recognizes the dagger. It's the blasting dagger, and it channels all of the wielder's mana into one powerful but sacrificial blow. The heroes are horrified to see that the king is going to sacrifice himself, but they realize that there is no other option. The king goes in to sacrifice himself, but Nor comes out of nowhere to parry the dragon's attack. Everyone watches in absolute shock as he just shoved a legendary dragon and the dragon collapses. The dragon wonders what is going on, and she is confused to see that a tiny human just knocked her off balance. She declares that the strong control the weak with violence, and that's just the law of the world. Her giant tail does massive damage to the capital as it moves in to strike Nor, but he just parries that as well. The dragon comes crashing down again, and Nor just thinks about how he thought he wouldn't survive. We then just get a look back to just moments before, when Nor was launched towards the capital. He used physical enhancement to regain his balance, and he sent himself over the castle wall. Nor was surprised to see how fast he got there, but he realized that there was no way for him to stop himself. Nor didn't hesitate though, and just used his parry ability. Nor never wants to do that again, and he thinks about how parrying the dragon was way easier than he expected. The dragon gets back up, but Nor doesn't think it's that scary anymore. The girls finally arrive at the capital, and they plan to help the king escape while Nor fights the dragon. Unfortunately, they end up getting attacked, but Ines manages to protect them in time. Several goblin emperors appear, but they're quite small compared to the one Nor and Lin confronted. Goblin emperors are still in a league of their own though, so they are in big danger. Lin decides to think like Nor does, so she tells Ines not to worry because they're only fighting goblins. Ines is inspired by her confidence and agrees that these goblins are not nearly as terrifying as the dragon. These goblins end up blasting through her attack, but Rollo steps in and commands the goblins to stop moving. Lin uses the opportunity to freeze them, and Ines converts her shield into a sword. Ines destroys all the goblins with one powerful strike, and Lin realizes why she was given the Divine Sword title. Rollo's just as impressive because he was able to stop the overpowered goblins with just a few words. Such a young kid having this power is incredible, but Lin can tell that it takes great courage for him to use it. Back with Nor, we see that the dragon is getting really frustrated. She keeps attacking Nor, but he just keeps parrying her. Her claws and scales should be indestructible, but Nor is somehow damaging them badly. Nor is shocked by how his sword never gets a single scratch, no matter what he swings it at. He wonders what the secret behind it is, but it doesn't really matter because it's his key to victory. The dragon can't understand what's going on, but she realizes that she can stop worrying because there's no chance that her next attack will fail. She takes to the sky, and everyone watches as she gathers a ton of energy into her mouth. She releases the powerful beam right at Nor, but he once again parries it. This sends the attack straight into the air, and everyone watches in amazement as its explosion covers the sky in light. The dragon lets out a roar, but Rollo can sense that there is more to its anger. The dragon is frustrated because Nor isn't treating it as a serious threat, even though that's what it's trying to be. Dragons are very prideful, and this is especially true for the Dragon Elder, who considers itself to be stronger than anything. The dragon becomes furious because this fight has made it clear that she is the weak one compared to Nor. Nor parries another one of the dragon's attacks, and the girls are shocked to see that it has decided to submit to him. The townspeople watch from afar, and their mouths nearly drop to the ground. Nor remembers what his father said about the adventurer who defeated dragons. Slaying dragons brought wealth to the people, and he became known as a dragon slayer. However, Nor sees that this dragon doesn't want to fight anymore. Nor decides not to end the dragon's life, and concedes that he isn't really hero material anyway. The rest of his group rushes to him, and Nor waves to his friends. Nor tells everyone that he's okay, and he thanks Rollo for helping. Rollo has no clue what he's talking about, so Nor explains what he just realized. The reason the dragon must have calmed down was because Rollo ordered it to. Nor is shocked when Rollo says that he actually didn't do anything, and the confused Nor points out that the dragon just stopped being hostile out of nowhere. Rollo had nothing to do with it, so Nor determines that the dragon must have been intimidated by just the fact that Rollo could control it. Everyone is then stunned when Nor tells Rollo to send the dragon back to where it came from. The others point out that the dragon is still very dangerous, so it would be best to eliminate it while they have the chance. Nor understands the risks, but he doesn't want to hurt the beast. Nor knows that he's asking for something selfish, but Lin understands and agrees to allow it. Rollo isn't sure if he can order around such a powerful dragon, and he thinks he will only be able to ask it politely. Nor can tell that Rollo doesn't like showing his power, so he assures Rollo that Lin and Enos won't be scared of him. These words give Rollo some courage, so he gives it a shot. Rollo is able to understand the dragon, so he informs Nor that it has decided to do anything its master orders. The girls can't believe what they just heard, but the clueless Nor thinks that the dragon is calling Rollo its master. Nor tells Rollo to have it quietly return to its home and to make sure it never even tries to hurt humans ever again. Rollo passes the message along, and the dragon shockingly agrees to do everything Nor said. The dragon takes to the sky and roars one last time before leaving. Everyone watches as the legendary beast leaves peacefully, but Nor is horrified when a powerful attack knocks it right out of the sky. The terror is shared by everyone, and we see that the evil leader of the empire was behind the attack. Darius is really pleased with himself, and he says that even a dragon that has lived for thousands of years is still just a stupid beast in the end. The dragon was just a pawn, but he's disappointed that it didn't destroy the capital. He decides that he will just have to start the attack anyway, so he has his army summoned nearby. There are a ton of troops, and the firepower of his army is unrivaled. A look back shows how the Empire planned out this attack. After the dragon decimated the capital, the troops were to come in and clean up. Foot soldiers would be equipped with magic swords and magic shields, while the elite troops would have magic armor and magic cannons. They would also have massive shields and gigantic Monterey cannons. The king was very pleased by the plan, but a soldier named Randius had a problem with the war. He didn't think that it would benefit the country in the long run, but he was just silenced by Darius. He refused to let anyone pose a threat to them and declared that they would show everyone the power of their magic. Darius wants this war to go down in history so everyone can know about the foolish decision the Clay Kingdom made. He also wants everyone to know that it was a country of fools who neglected proper upkeep of the Dungeon of the Lost. They were led down the path of ruin by their own selfish greed. As for Darius, he will be known as the one who liberated the country of this foolishness. Nearby, Nor and the others find the dragon, but they can't tell if it's still alive without getting closer. Just then, they spot the magical empire, and the empire spots them right back. They see the Princess Lin, but what's most concerning is that Enos is with her. This is because Enos is one of the living legends known all around the world, and Darius assumes that she was the one that saved the capital. The era where legends rule has come to an end, and Darius declares that it's time for those with wisdom to define the world. Darius orders for the mana cannon to be fired, because even if Enos is known as the Divine Shield, this weapon will still evaporate her into nothing. She will just be another legend to be defeated by his hand, which is why Darius loves war so much. The mana cannon prepares to fire, and our group notices at the last second, so Enos tells the others to run away. The weapon is fired, and Deritus declares that it's all over for her. Enos just stares as the huge beam approaches, but Nora shockingly steps up to parry the giant attack. The beam goes flying everywhere, and no one can believe what they just saw. Deritus' troops are in such disbelief that they think there was something wrong with the weapon, so Deritus has them prepare another attack. Nora is amazed to see such a huge army, and the girls explain that they're trying to annihilate the kingdom. The Clay's kingdom has an army as well, but they don't stand a chance against the Empire's numbers. Enos wants Lyn to retreat with her, so Lyn wonders what Nora plans to do. Nora says that it should be obvious, and he thinks about how he needs to run for his life and get away from this place as soon as possible. Lyn agrees that it was a silly question to ask, but she clearly thinks that he's going to do something heroic. Nora wonders why she is smiling, and wonders if she understood what he actually meant. Nora tries to clarify that he's going to run away, but they're interrupted by another attack. Enos blocks it this time, so the annoyed Deritus decides to take shelter at the rear of his army. They are being pinned down by all the attacks, so Nora determines that there's only one way to escape. Nora tells the others that he's going to distract the army, so they should use that time to get away. Nora thinks that he's bad at fighting, but he is confident in his ability to run away. A look back shows that Nora sharpened his running away ability by running from swarms of bees. His plan is to run around like crazy, and Lyn decides to give him some help. Nora is shocked to see that this means she's going to use her wind blast on him again, but she promises to control it better this time. Nora tries to clarify that he isn't just going to throw his life away, but there's no time to talk. Another attack is coming, so Nora enhances himself, and Lyn sends him flying. Nora's glad to see that he's able to deflect the Empire's attacks, and he flies across the battlefield. There is no turning back now, so Nora charges right at the entire army. He uses the parry ability he spent all those years practicing, and he disarms a ton of troops. Nora just wants to buy enough time for the others to get away, so he plans to run around and parry everything in front of him. Deritus is horrified to see his army being toyed with, and Nora appears before him. All the weapons that Nora parried went straight into the air, and they come raining down on the army. The giant shields were also parried by Nora, and Deritus can't understand the physics-defying attack Nora is using. Nora continues his chaotic attack, and Deritus wonders who he is. Nora once again ends up near Deritus, and Deritus realizes that he was the guy that was just standing next to Lyn. He can't understand how Nora covered so much distance, and he wonders why Nora is now ignoring everyone just to stare at him. He fears that Nora knows that he is the Emperor, and he freaks out when Nora takes a hold of him. The panicked Deritus reminds himself that his armor and sword are made of crazy powerful materials, so he decides to fight back. Nora flies right past him, so he assumes that Nora ran away, but he just ends up getting knocked around by the mana cannons. Nora keeps flying around like a maniac, and reality sets in for Deritus. His giant army is being destroyed, and so are his shields that were supposed to be able to defend against a dragon's breath. They're all worthless now, so Deritus demands to know who Nora is. Just then, Deritus recognizes Clay's black blade that used to be behind his throne. Deritus is horrified because it's the one dungeon relic that he wants above all others. What's most shocking is that this sword is made from an unknown metal, and it's supposed to be too heavy for any normal human to carry. Even the freakishly strong King Clay needed to use 2 hands to wield it. There's no way this random guy could surpass Clay, but Nora easily tosses the sword over his shoulder. Deritus is really terrified of Nora because he destroyed the entire army all alone, and now he's just keeping him alive to torture him. Deritus is so scared that he wets himself, and he takes off running. He hops on his horse and gets away from Nora as fast as possible. A look back to just moments ago shows what happened from Nora's perspective. Nora managed to stop himself from getting launched, and he wondered who the old guy was. Even his horses were covered in gold armor, and the old guy just had a shocked look on his face. Nora didn't have much time to think though, because the soldiers' weapons were coming back down from the sky. The soldiers would attack him all at once if they were able to recover their weapons, so Nora kept parrying them into the sky. Nora did the same to the giant shields, and he bumped into the old man again. Nora had to keep parrying the weapons, but he also had to remind himself to stop and take a breath before passing out. Nora didn't see a reason to parry the old guy's sword because he clearly wasn't a threat. Instead, Nora just kept parrying through the army. However, Nora couldn't help but think that the old man was going to get hurt if he stayed on the battlefield. The old man wondered why Nor wasn't ending his life, but Nor wanted to show him that this wasn't his intention. Nor was too exhausted to just tell him, so he smiled at the old man instead. This backfired though, as his awkward smile was terrifying, and the old man just ran away. Just then, Nor feels a great deal of pain, and he realizes that he must have hit his limit. Unfortunately, his low heal ability can't heal exhaustion this bad. Nor coughs up blood as he is surrounded, and he just hopes that his friends were able to escape safely. Just then, as Nor prepares for death, he is shocked to hear that someone is using a familiar attack. The soldiers around him are wrecked, but Nor doesn't remember Gilbert's name, and he mispronounces it several times. Gilbert is surprised though to see how much damage Nor did all on his own. Nor is amazed when he sees the instructor he met a long time ago, named Sig. Sig doesn't recognize him, but he thanks Nor for taking on the army. Sig and Gilbert go to clean up the rest of the army, and Nor is stunned by how powerful his old instructor is. This is the power of the swordsman that Nor has always dreamed of being. The other heroes watch as well, but they are disappointed because they ask Sig not to take too many lives. It can't be helped though, because they are heavily outnumbered. These two decide that it's time for them to shine now, so they also begin attacking. The other heroes arrive to take control of the battle, so the old wizard shows his immense control over earth magic. The white-haired dude does things a bit differently, as he tells his group to heal the surviving enemies so they can have the chance to turn over a new leaf. Nor realizes that these were all his old instructors, and he can't believe that he was able to see them again. Lin heals Nor, and he is fine to move around again, but he's now hungry. The battle is over, and an interrogation has revealed that the enemy has no troops left. They threw everything they had at them, including a dragon, and they lost. The Emperor was so confident in his army that he showed up on the battlefield himself, but he had to run away. Nor realizes that they're talking about the old geezer, and the wizard is shocked to hear that Nor met the Emperor. Nor describes the armor he and his horses wore, so the wizard determines that it must have been orichalcum armor. It's very high-grade equipment that can support an extensive array of skills. This explains why he was able to get away. If the Emperor escapes to the border, then they won't be able to go after him. This is because there is a fortress there, as well as a bridge that spans a ravine. The wizard determines that there's no way to catch up to the Emperor, and he wishes that they all could fly. Just then, the wizard is shocked when Nora says that there might be a way. However, this depends on if the being in his plan is still alive. Nora's idea turned out to be using the dragon. The wizard is stunned because he never thought that he would be able to see an ancient and legendary beast up close. It's an incredible sight, and this makes living to an old age worth it for the wizard. Sane feels the same way, as this is the first time he has ever been tasked with healing such an enormous dragon. Sane gets to work and uses healing magic on the giant beast. Sane remembers Nor and is amazed to see how much he has grown. The wizard didn't recognize him, but Sane knew right away. Nor is glad to see that the wizard is still alive and well, but the wizard is insulted because he plans to live for at least another 100 years. Nor thinks that the old wizard is funnier than ever, but the geezer wasn't joking. He doesn't think that trying to ride on the dragon's back is a good idea, but Nora explains that they will be okay because they have Rollo on their side. The wizard is glad to hear it, but he's horrified when Rollo says that he has no confidence in his ability at all. Just then, the dragon begins to wake up, and the wizard begins to panic. Everyone expresses their confidence in Rollo, but Nora can tell that the dragon is angry. Rollo is shocked that Nora was able to sense this, so Nora explains that he learned a lot from living in the mountains for a really long time. The dragon desperately wants revenge, and it wants Rollo to order it to get some. The wizard is amazed that Rollo has such control over the dragon because it's waiting for his orders. Nor compliments Rollo as well, but Rollo begins to explain that it's actually listening to Nor. Unfortunately, he's interrupted by the dragon's impatience. The dragon wants to go now, so Nor tells everyone to get ready to ride it. Nor is shocked to see that the girls want to go, so they explain that Rollo has to go to control the dragon, and they need to protect him. Nor didn't think they would want him to go as well, but they do, and he thinks about how he is terrified of heights. It was his idea though, so he doesn't really have a choice. Sane will go as well, and so will Karu. Nor is shocked to remember this guy, who was his thief class instructor. He will be in charge of concealing their presence. Just then, the king and Rain arrive to declare that Rain will be going as well. Lin is glad to see her family, and Ines is prepared to be punished for coming back to the capital instead of escaping with the princess. Rain decides not to punish her, and instead he takes responsibility for giving such an idiotic order. The king leaves Rain to issue orders from here on out, and he apologizes to Noor for asking so much of him. He needs Noor's help one last time though, and asks him to protect his children. Noor assures him that he will bring them back safely, and Rollo instructs the dragon to fly. The heroes wonder if it was really okay to just let Noor leave without revealing the truth to him. Sig explains that it's for the best because in reality, Noor has never needed them to play a role in his life. Them thinking that they would be able to raise Noor themselves was just based on their egos. This is because Noor was like a hero straight out of the legends. Sig now realizes that he was just being lazy these past few years. He stopped fighting to teach others, but after seeing what Noor just did, he has decided to retrain himself from scratch. Sig is inspired by Noor's abilities, so he refuses to just let his own sword rust away. The heroes are pretty happy because they were able to witness the spectacle that Noor just performed. On the dragon, everyone looks for the Emperor, but there are no signs of him. He's much faster than they expected, so they begin to wonder if he already made it back to the Empire. They approach a steel bridge, which marks the beginning of the Empire-controlled territory. They can't just recklessly run in, so they consider turning back. The decision is left to Rain, but Lin notices something moving at an extremely fast speed. It's the Emperor, but he's nearing the Imperial capital's defenses. It's clear that they won't make it back in one piece if they cross into enemy territory. They are concealed for now, but if they get too close, then the enemy will detect that magic is being used. Letting the Emperor escape is not an option though, because the Empire has access to powerful magic tools and they are very dangerous. They cannot give them the time to rebuild their army. Just then, Ines surprisingly asks for permission to annihilate the entire area. They are running out of time, so she wants to destroy the enemy's defenses. Lin is shocked because normally, Ines would never suggest exerting her own power. However, this time, Ines is just as angry as the rest of them. The royal capital she vowed to risk her life to protect was just trampled on. Rain gives Ines the permission she was looking for, and he tells her not to hold back. Ines absolutely destroys the wall and follows up by attacking the base. Their escape route is now secured, but the job isn't done. Their actions here will determine the course of the war, so they will continue to pursue the Emperor. Rain plans to follow him, even if it takes them to the Imperial capital, and Lin says that she is ready. Everyone here wields power far outside the norm, and they're the strongest people imaginable. Above them all though, is her instructor Noor, and she can't even begin to comprehend his greatness. Lin admires him greatly, but we see that he's suffering pretty badly from being so high up. Lin is ready and declares that they will show the Empire what happens when they mess with the wrong people. Thanks for watching my recap, subscribe to the channel for more videos.